Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Whoa, I already got the thing up. Well, look at that. Ray Flowers just trying to get everyone all involved here at the start of Fantasy Sports Daily. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's because you're not watching the video. You can watch this show live every day, Monday through Friday on YouTube at youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. You can also watch us live at facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. Either of those two spots, you can comment on what we're talking about. You can leave questions and we'll address those at the end of the show. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. You are here with me, hopefully, every day, Monday through Friday on Fantasy Sports Daily, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. We spend about an hour each day talking sports, talking fantasy. We spend the first half of the show on Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays talking baseball. We spend the second half of the show talking football. Wednesdays, we visit with Armando Marsal. Thursdays, we visit with Tyler Beaker. And today, it's Friday, so we'll visit with Russell Clay in about a half an hour, about 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Before we get to that, we got a lot to talk about with baseball here. And I wanted to start out with just an obvious question. Mike Trout a Hall of Famer? We got an update on his knee situation. It's not good. And we'll explore that in a little depth. We'll spend a few minutes talking about Mike Trout. Some injury news. His teammate Luis Rengifo, maybe it's not as bad as we thought with his wrist. Reese, Olson, Kenley, Jansen, Edward Cabrera, and Walker Buehler. Then we'll talk about some performances. Anyone realize that Bobby Witt is right now better than Mike Trout ever was? Oh, we'll talk about it. Coby Mayo is called up by the Orioles. When will Junior Caminero get called up by the Rays? Paul Goldschmidt, David Fry, Xavier Edwards, who will not stop producing, Max Meyer, Charlie Morton, and Trevor Rogers. And then again, we'll talk to Russell Clay in about a half hour. We'll talk Raiders quarterback situation. Ezekiel Elliott, is he being overlooked? Lamar Jackson, even though I put Hackson, it should be a Jackson, as we're all aware. Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Taysom Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson with the team from Texas, Brian Thomas, Gabe Davis, and Christian Kirk. So we'll talk about all of that. Okay, let's start out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make my face a little smaller. Whoa, that's way too small, Ray. Learn how to do this. There we go. At least I'm in the middle. And I wanted to have a discussion with everybody because if you didn't hear, let's start out with the news. Perry Manassian, the GM of the Angels, I'm sure you've heard. Situation with Mike Trout is dire, at least for this season. Mike Trout had a setback with his knee. He tore some meniscus in his left knee. He's done for the season. And we've speculated, as others have as well, that perhaps this most recent setback was going to cost him the season. In fact, we talked about it, I think, as recently as yesterday. And the fact of the matter is that came to fruition. So Mike Trout is done for 2024. And it brings up that question that I posed at the start of the show. And you can see some information there on the screen for those of you watching. And if you're not watching live or whatever, that's totally fine. You can always type in Fantasy Sports Daily into your podcast network, as I'm sure you're aware. You can also go to fantasyguru.com and click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. And you can also watch this live, though you can't comment, live or on demand on Twitter X at Fantasy Guru site. So Trout's done for the season. And that means that he has played 266 of 648 games the last 4 seasons. He hasn't even played half the games the last 4 years. And he turns 33 in a few days. And whereas, as we've touched on previously, there was all that debate about, is it Trout or is it Harper? Who's the better player back when they were, teenagers and all that. And while it was Trout till about four years ago, it's Harper starting to pull away here. And Mike Trout is due $1 gazillion. Mike Trout is a shell of his former self. As you can see there on the screen, his average effort the last 5 years. Now, that includes COVID, but still. His average effort the last 5 years, 19 home runs, 40 RBIs, 44 runs scored, and 2 steals. I mean, that's fifth outfielder in fantasy? No. That's like a fourth outfielder in the real game. Only once in 5 seasons. Once the last 5 years has Mike Trout had 20 home runs. Once in 5 years has he had 50 RBIs. And once in 5 years has he had 55 runs scored. Those numbers suck. I'm not talking 1 year. Not talking 2 years, not talking 3 years, not talking 4. We're talking 5 years. For 5 years, he's been Connor Joe. Actually, he's not even been Connor Joe for 5 years. Is he a Hall of Famer? Well, Ray, of course he's a Hall of Famer. Look at his slash line for his career. Look at his OPS plus. Look at his defense. His peak was superstardom. 100% in the fantasy space and in the real world. 100%. But for the last 5 years, he's been garbage. Look at those numbers on the screen. These are per 162 games played. Mike Trout, Ryan Braun, Larry Walker. And don't talk to me about Coors Field. Don't talk to me about PEDs. We're just talking production. Okay. As you can see there, Mike Trout's batting average is basically the same as Ryan Braun. It's behind Larry Walker. Again, per 162 games played. Trout has the most home runs, 40 to 32 to 31. Okay, so he has an edge there. RBIs, he's actually got the lowest RBI total of the three. Now, some of that is because he hit leadoff, but still, we're talking fantasy value in particular, right? Lowest RBI total of the three. Has the highest run scored total of the three at 120, but Larry Walker's right behind him at 110. Ryan Braun ain't no small shakes there at 99. And then in the steals column, Trout 23, Braun 20, Walker 19. The point being that, and these are just two guys I randomly thought of as I was putting this together as a show plan for today. If you look at those per 162 numbers, you would not say that Mike Trout, if you didn't know, if you just came to this fresh, you didn't even know what baseball was, you wouldn't say Mike Trout's appreciably better than these other two guys. You wouldn't. How many times has Mike Trout hit his 162 game average of 299, 40 home runs, 102 RBIs, 120 runs, 23 steals? How many times has he done that in his career? And as you can see there on the screen, the answer is 0. He has never once in his entire career hit his per 162 game average. Why? Because he never plays 160 games. So I asked this question legitimately, and it's been one that I've posed here before. Is Mike Trout a Hall of Famer? Do those numbers for Mike Trout say he's a Hall of Famer? Because if they do, Ryan Braun's a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's just what it is. You know, there's a lot of players in baseball that are pretty damn good that were, and here's the issue with Trout, because remember, he's going to be 33 here in a couple of days. Mike Trout had stupendous size. He was all otherworldly. Okay. And by the way, he's making, what's his contract? He's making $35 million in 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. $35 million a year. And, you know, by the way, he played 29 games this year. He got paid more than $1 million a game this year. He's not a football player. He got paid more than $1 million a game this season. The last 5 years, he has played half the games twice. He's played 85 games once. I mean, again, remember what I said. The last 5 years, one season of 20 home runs, one season of 50 RBIs, one season of 55 runs scored. This is starting to look like, as I've previously noted, this is starting to look like Don Mattingly. This is starting to look like Andrew Jones. Like, it's just gone. And it's not 100% fair to say that because Trout has still had an 860 OPS the last 2 years, right? Which for any mere mortal is fantastic. For Trout, it's down, but for any mere mortal, it's fantastic. But where are we at with him? I'd love to hear some comments in the Discord over at fantasyguru.com. Some comments here from folks. What do you think? And I'm not saying this for clickbait or not. I'm legit being honest. How can a guy be a superstar for 10 years and then crap for 5 years and have us sit there and say he's a Hall of Famer? Is that fair? Actually, he was really good for 9. Looking at the numbers now. He was really good for 8 years. 2012 to 2019. He was stupendous for 8 years. Is that enough? Are we talking, is Hall of Fame about peak players? Is it about career numbers? Because, I mean, you look at his career numbers. He's had 378 home runs. It's starting to take a lot to think he gets to 500. 954 RBIs, 1,100 runs scored. 1,600 hits. You know, the steals thing, his last 5 years, he has stolen 1 base. So that's 6 years in a row he's failed to get 12 steals. That's 5 years in a row he's failed to get 7 steals. And if my math is quickly good here, he's stolen 12 bases in 5 years. Whoopee-doo. He doesn't run anymore. He's not Kyle Schwarber, but he doesn't run anymore. Kyle Schwarber had 11 steals last year, didn't he? I say that. Is that right? I think Kyle Schwarber had 11 steals last year. Let's look that up real quick. Maybe I downed Kyle Schwarber. He had 10 steals. It was 2 years ago. It was 10 steals. But still, he had 10 steals 2 years ago. The last time Trout stole 10 bases was 2019. So you know, Chaka makes a comment here. So rough about Trout. Guy could have been top 5 player of all time. It's a shame. And I don't mean to be anti-Trout here or anything like that. You're totally right, Chaka. It is a shame because the first 10 years of his career, again, looked like this was going to be one of the greats of all time. We haven't seen that guy. If Mike Trout continues along these routes, if he continues along this path, he's not going to complete his contract, right? He's not going to play till 2030 playing 40 games a year. Right? Why would he do that? He's got to really pick things up here because if he is great for 8 years and crap for 8 years, let's hope he gets going. Bottom line is in the fantasy space, just not happening in 2024. All right, let's talk some more. Let's talk some positivity here. Coby Mayo has been called up. Well, let's not talk positivity. Let's talk some of the more injuries. Let's go follow my flow sheet here before I get nuts. Luis Rengifo, someone we talked about on the show yesterday, someone we've had discussions about in Discord. People were considering dropping him. We just got news from Rengifo last night where he said, it's okay. My wrist ain't bad. He's not even been placed on the injured list yet. So, they're calling it now day to day, which is great news. Now, this is a setback-ish. So just because they're calling it day to day doesn't mean he's going to pick right up where he left off and be fine in 3 days or anything like that. But does not sound at this point in time like he's going on the injured list. Doesn't sound like he's going to join Trout and Rendon on that injured list. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that is indeed the case with Luis Rengifo. Reese Olson, who's got the shoulder issue, he said that he's certain he's going to pitch again this season. He's got a mild shoulder strain. It's one of those scenarios when you talk about these guys, and it's something I was talking about Gavin Williams this morning in the Discord with Chaka. It's one of those scenarios where we're at that point of the year that we all know, we understand, right? It's August. And anytime we hit August, things start to get a little tight with the pitching staff. This year, it's bad. It's going to get really bad down the stretch. And, guys making 5 or 6 starts instead of 10 might right now seem like, But really, 5 or 6 good starts instead of 10 starts, 5 or 6 might be the norm. We might have this guy for this week and this guy for that week. We might end up doing a lot of streaming even when we don't want to, even when that's not our general plan. All depends on what your staff looks like, how fortunate you have been to avoid injuries. I don't think I have. Someone was commenting the other day, I've got 8 guys on the injured list, and I went through my injured list numbers, and they were all 10, 11, craziness. We were all dealing with it. So Reese Olson is one of those guys to keep in the back of your mind. We don't have a definitive timeline return for him, but it sounds like he will pitch again this season for the Tigers. Kenley Jansen's day-to-day with lower back tightness. My back hurts too. We got a big wine fridge. Anyone had a wine fridge? We had a wine fridge get delivered we ordered it from Amazon. And first of all, they wouldn't bring it in the house. It's like, guys, bring it in the house. It's a 6-foot tall wine fridge that holds like 98 bottles. It's a big one. And they were like, well, we don't bring it in the house. We're like, can you bring it in the house? Like, by the way, if you follow this, if you take it through the garage and you bring it in the house, it's 12. We want it 12 feet from the garage door. Like it's going to go right on the wall near the garage door, which is basically where the living room is, or the dining room, excuse me. Had to have a debate for them to even get it in the house up the step. It's like, guys, so they took it up the step, but that was it. They couldn't move it the other 10 feet. Anyway, has anyone else gotten a delivery where the delivery people do that? I mean, we even offered to give them, hey, we'll give you $20 if you can move it to 12 feet. No, we can't do that. It's very rare that I have seen if you tip a guy, and again, we've given $50 for them to move something like down the stairs, whatever. It was literally 12 feet. Anyway, we got it going. It looks good. All that kind of stuff. Has anyone dealt with that? Anyway, I bring that up because my back is sore because we were moving wine bottles, and my back is sore today. Kenley Jansen's back is sore. It's not expected to be a big deal. He did tweak it on Wednesday, though. Luis Garcia, Lucas Sims might be guys in short order to get a couple of save opportunities here. We'll see. But it doesn't sound like a long-term thing with Kenley Jansen, though. As I've talked about a lot with backs, you never know. Edward Cabrera's got a knee issue. He's expected to make his next start for the Marlins. Unfortunately, it's against the Braves. It's good news because they ran tests and there was nothing structurally wrong. We were a little nervous with Cabrera when the injury happened, but positive news with him. I don't make that start, though. Of course, you don't want him active in that start. Walker Buehler, here we go. Wherever he went to work on things didn't work. 4 runs last night in 3 1/3 innings. He threw 86 pitches to get 10 outs. Oof. I mean, at AAA doing that, I mean, he wouldn't have got out of the first inning at the big leagues, right? I mean, so he had 6 strikeouts, but it does not seem at this point in time that whatever is ailing Walker Buehler is going to get fixed in time for him to be a contributor this season. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he'll make those 5 or 6 starts on the stretch. Maybe it'll all click. But I'm going to love to hear when his career is over, or hopefully this offseason, what really happened here. Because as we've discussed on the show so many times, this was the longest return from Tommy John surgery ever for a guy that the team said never had a setback. It's been 2 years and he's still not back. And it's a reminder, and I didn't write the article this year, but I've written it for years on years. And we have, I'm trying to remember what the number is. 89% of pitchers even return from Tommy John surgery. Like, we have this idea that, oh, you have the surgery, you throw harder, you're better. I have to go through the data again, but it's like 89% of guys even return to pitching, right? There's a number of guys, so that's 10% of guys that never even return to pitching. And the percentage of pitchers that return to their previous level of success is, I want to say, less than half. It's not as big a number as people think. And Walker Buehler's a prime example of that this season. Now let's talk some positivity. And I mentioned this earlier with Bobby Witt, who, you know, I was talking with Phil Backert, our producer for Fantasy Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. The Elite Sports Show is Monday through Friday with Jeff Mans from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm on Wednesdays with Jeff. Phil also does some cheat sheet stuff for DFS. He also does a lot of IDP work. He's our lead IDP guy, actually, for football at fantasyguru.com. And remember, you can go to fantasyguru.com and click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can sign up for the full season package for football. You can sign up for the DFS package for football. You can sign up for the wagering package for football right now. You can also send an email to support@fantasyguru.com. So send an email to support@fantasyguru.com and tell them, hey, man, I want to sign up for the the fantasy baseball product for DFS the rest of the way. I'm going to go write the cash game breakdown when this is over. We'll finish writing. I already started it this morning. Hey, I want to get involved with the wagering. How do you get that for baseball? Send a support question or an inquiry to support@fantasyguru.com. Anyway, I was talking about Bobby Witt earlier, and I mentioned he's great, and Phil Backert and I were having that conversation, and Phil's like, he's going to backdoor win the MVP, and he's gonna. Does anyone realize how good Bobby Witt has been? His last month, what was it? He hit 489, if I remember right, in, 100 plate appearances, whatever it was, which was the first time it had happened where someone had hit that high and that amount of plate appearances. I think those are the numbers since Lou Gehrig in like 1930. And you wake up this morning, you look at Bobby Witt's player card, and Bobby Witt is already gone 2020. He's got 20 home runs and 24 steals. A 30-30 season seems like it's going to happen for a second year in a row. Oh, by the way, right now, as of today, he's hitting 350. Not only is he hitting 350, he's pushed his OPS over 1,000. He's got 93 runs scored in 110 games. Mike Trout is on pace to go 350, 30-30 with 130 runs and 115 RBIs. It's not quite Ronald Acuna last year because the steal piece is low, but he's hitting 350. He's going to go 30-30. So Bobby Witt has just been outrageously good. Outrageously good. Yeah, it's remarkable. And let me pull up the numbers here as we got Bobby Witt. I've got him up here. Let's look at his actual numbers for the last month as I'm talking here. Okay, so his numbers in July. It was 100 plate appearances and hit 49. So I was right. 49 batting average, 100 plate appearances or more in a month. Last time someone did it before Bobby Witt was Lou Gehrig. Per month, he's hit 315, 315, 306, and again, 489 in 13 games since the All-Star break. He's 28 for 50, which, oh, by the way, is a 560 batting average. Bobby Witt, superstar. There it is. All right, let's talk about the big news of the day for some people, and that's Coby Mayo being promoted. Looks like, they had the injury to Jordan Westberg. He broke his hand. He's going to be out a while. They've had the previous injury to Jorge Mateo that caused them to call up Jackson Holiday. Coby Mayo's promoted. Everyone is super stoked because he's an Oriole, because all the Oriole prospects are great, and because his numbers in the minors are terrific. He's got 20 home runs, 61 RBIs, over 77 games on the farm, hitting 300 with a 375 on base percentage and a 575 slugging percentage, killing it. He's 6'5", 225 pounds. He is a big guy. He moves well for his size, but he is a big guy. he's got on the 20/80 grading scale with, 80 being Hall of Fame and 70 being outright superstar. He's got like a 70 grade for his arm. His arm is a cannon. Now, there are questions long-term about whether Mayo can stay at third base or not. There are some people, and he's already started to play first base a little bit this year. There are some people that think he's better off on the other side long-term. But right now, he can play third base. The power is lightning tower stuff. You can find all kinds of highlights of him, hitting home runs. And there is a strong belief that he's got the best power stroke in the entire organization. He is great for power, 65-70 for the power. So again, this is an elite tool. Now, the problem that he runs into is that his power, excuse me, did I say hit tool? Let me back up. His power is elite. His hit tool is not. His hit tool on that 20/80 scale is 40, 45 right now. Maybe he gets to 50. 45 is basically league average. 40 is like, eh. And you look at his minor league numbers, and they're fantastic, but there's a difference, obviously, as we talk about all the time, between that and here. What he does do very well is he takes a walk. So even if he's a 250 kind of hitter, he's got the ability to have a 350 on base percentage, and he's got the power to hit 30 home runs. Okay. So what's going to happen? He gets promoted. He's probably going to play almost every day. The Orioles are really left-handed, so they really need his right-handed power bat in the lineup. The problem for him from a fantasy perspective is obviously he's a rookie, and secondly, he's going to hit 8 or 9, I would have to think, because they're going to want to shelter him a little bit, and they've got all these other massive weapons anyway. Pretty cool to see him and Holiday hitting 8-9, if that's what they do, by the way. He is somebody that, we can all get excited about. We can all add off the waiver wire. The potential is immense. Now, the problem with doing that is he could end up being Jake Burger in the short term, right? A guy that hits the home runs, a guy who has some streakiness to him, a guy who has some strikeout to him. And again, better on base percentage than Jake Burger, but in terms of the fantasy outlook, it could be Jake Burger. Is it going to be better than that? Is he going to be Spencer Steer? Maybe. Is he going to be better than that? Is he going to hit 275 with 30 home run power the rest of the way? Maybe. But I'd be cautious here, and I say this all the time with rookies, and Holiday is teammate. Prime example of this. Holiday was called up. What happened to Holiday? So add him. I have no problem doing that. In fact, I would do that if he's available. I wouldn't blow fab budgets. Be cautious here, but understand who he could be, and that is a significant power source the rest of the way, though there is the obvious downside that we have discussed. Junior Caminero, another one of the huge prospects in baseball at third base. Caminero looked at, I think, roundly as the number one third base prospect in baseball. Everyone's wondering when the hell is he going to get promoted. The problem with Caminero is he's been hurt all year long. He's had multiple leg issues. I think he's hitting he's got an 819 OPS with 11 home runs at AAA in 45 games. Those are good numbers. They're not great. They're good numbers. Now, the problem is he didn't play in June because of injury. He didn't play in June. In May, he hit 233 with a 310 on base percentage. In July, he had 899 with 5 home runs in 16 games. So when he returned from injury, he was very productive in July. But there's been so many starts and stops. He's never really just played for 2 months and gotten in that groove that the Rays are comfortable with. Will we see him before the season is over? Yeah, I'm still pretty convinced of that. We'll see. I mean, is he going to stay healthy? When he comes up, will they bat him 8th? Will they platoon him? It's the Rays, man, but they are obviously they were in sell mode. They're not, I don't think if they're being realistic, right, that they're looking at this and saying, oh, we're going to win our division. I don't even know if they legitimately think they can make the playoffs. I don't know. They're 4th in the AL East. But we'll see. Caminero will be seen at some point. He just got to stay healthy to get that promotion. Paul Goldschmidt going to the other side of things. Paul Goldschmidt went 3 for 5 yesterday. And, just wanted to check in with Goldschmidt because he has been a huge disappointment, period. Missed everyone's expectations, including mine. The last month, he's got 6 home runs, which is nice to see. He's hitting 270. The last 2 weeks, he's got 4 home runs. He's hitting 290. And the last week, he's gone deep 3 times. He scored 7 runs in 7 games. He's hitting 393. So he's finally found the stroke with the Cardinals desperately need he and Arenado to get going, right? They got Tommy Pham. They got all this excitement about, they're going to make this playoff push. They need Goldschmidt and Arenado to get it done. Goldschmidt, for the last couple of weeks at least, looking like Paul Goldschmidt. We'll see how long he can extend that out. But if he's on the waiver wire, which I think is possible in some of your leagues, he shouldn't be right now. David Fry went 1 for 5 with a home run. You can see where he's ranked as well as everyone else in the updated rankings over at fantasyguru.com. Remember, the first of every month, I update the full ranking set. It'll happen one more time on September 1st. When we're done here, I have the cash game breakdown to write, and then I'll go and finish up my analysis on Souls League rankings. We'll have those posted later today as well. Where's David Fry ranked? Well, he had a home run yesterday. David Fry started out astronomically good. He was in the cash game breakdown all the time. We were betting on him every day. He was the best, one of the best hitters in baseball for like a month. His last 134 at bats, he's gone 34 for 134, which is a 231 batting average with a single home run. And he also has 11 RBIs in 44 games. With the moves the Guardians made, the moves the Guardians made, he may not even be in the lineup consistently the rest of the way. So its performance has slowed greatly, as it always would, and now we have playing times concerns. He did go deep last night, but I think we're all understanding that the South days are gone for him. We'll have to just wait and see what that means moving forward. Xavier Edwards went 1 for 3 with the walk last night. By the way, in 28 games with the Marlins, Xavier Edwards, who we talked about on this show, who I picked up when we talked about waivers on a Monday, who we discussed, and I said, look, get this guy. We'll see what happens here. He's someone to add. He's exciting. He's getting an opportunity now. He's hitting .378 with a .933 OPS and 9 stolen bases in 28 games. He's blazing hot right now. In fact, he might maybe be in the cash game breakdown today. Maybe over at fantasyguru.com. He is batting 400 the last month and 409 the last 2 weeks. So he's in an incredibly hot streak. 2 more guys before we get to Russell Clay and talk some football. Charlie Morton gave up 1 run in 6 innings in the Braves' victory against the Marlins yesterday. He dropped his ERA below 4. He is what he is. And at this point, it's kind of boring. It's kind of middling. In a matchup like yesterday against the Marlins, fire him up. He was in the cash game breakdown yesterday. Did I make that up? I might have made that up. Let me verify that as I'm talking. I don't want to say that out of turn. But his performance here the last month has dwindled a little bit. He is an aging player. His fastball is grading out poorer and poorer, if that makes sense. It's all about really the curveball right now, which is still very, very good. But Morton has got to be utilized sporadically. You got to check the matchups with him. You got to be careful and cautious with that. He was in the cash game breakdown yesterday. I wasn't losing my mind. And finally, Trevor Rogers. He was also in the cash game breakdown. He was number 6. It was a small slate yesterday of just 5 games. We always list 6 pitchers in the cash game breakdown. There were only 10 yesterday. So as I said, don't use Trevor Rogers on FanDuel anyway. Went out and threw 4 1/3 innings, had a loss against the Guardians, walked 3 guys, struck out 3, gave up 5 runs. Not a great first effort with Trevor Rogers with the Orioles, as we talked about after the trade deadline. A little bit of an odd decision that the Orioles made to make the move to add him. They gave up a lot in Norby and Stowers. Not a good first impression for Rogers. We'll see if he's anything other than league average the rest of the way. I think that's kind of the groundswell idea is that, yeah, he's pitched effectively the last 2 months. Maybe he can keep doing that. It is the Orioles. Maybe he wins some games because of the run support. But there are legitimate concerns that we did see play out yesterday. All right. So there's some baseball talk. You can leave those comments and questions in the chat room. We'll be happy to address those at the end of the show. But now it's a Friday. And on Fridays, we talk football just like we do Wednesdays and Thursdays. But on Fridays, it's a special day because it's Mr. Pretzel. And when Mr. Pretzel is with us, we bring him in. We talk football. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Russell?
I'm good. I'm good, Ray. Actually, I'm card pack ripping Russ this week.
What, show that again. What is it exactly?
Me and Armando have been talking cards the last couple of weeks. So I said, hey, Mondo, come on Clay's Corner. And we're going to be doing that in a little bit. We might be going live. And that's going to be what we're doing for Clay's Corner this week. So no pretzel review, but we may be reviewing some cards.
Is that box of cards? I couldn't make it out while you held it up. What is it? What is
we
it
got?
exactly?
We got a cheapie Leaf 24.
Okay.
Bought it at Target yesterday. And Mondo, of course, Armando Marcel, I call him Mondo. Right. He is going to be getting a box as well. I don't know what it is yet, but should be fun. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for on this thing. Let's be goofy, have fun, and do sports related stuff.
I don't know where they play it, but Matt Strom, the reliever of the Phillies, has got a card show that's on Saturday. It's like a half-hour card show.
Really?
I forget the name of it. It's on Bay Area. It's on why am I drawing a blank? CSN, what is it? I think that's what it is here in the Bay Area. Oh, you should check it out. Matt Strom. He does like a half-hour thing, and he's not on the whole show, but I saw it the other day, and there was like Pokemon. They were on there, and they were talking to someone about the Olympic stuff, and he does baseball. He was sitting there with the Phillies memorabilia guy from the stadium, and they talked about the authentication process and stuff. So I don't know if that's in your thing. You might want to check that out, Russell, and the listeners too. But yeah, check out.
There he is.
Yeah. What's it called?
The Card Life.
There you go. So simple, I forgot it. Yeah, but it's like a half-hour show. It's something you can throw on in the background where you're doing some football rankings or something there. So check it out, Russell. All right, yeah. So when would the Clay's Corner be posted, by the way, so the folks can see it?
So we are going to be going live in probably about a half hour after this. And then it'll be posted later today on fantasyguru.com. So if you don't catch it live, you'll be seeing me and Mondo probably ripping nothing, probably ripping a bunch of cardboard, and but maybe we'll get an autograph or a patch in there somewhere.
I'm still looking. I've done that many times too. I'm trying to see if I've got any cards laying around. The only card I seem to have laying around that's within reach of my hand is the old Jeff Mann special, the Fleer sticker. Oh, you can't even see it because of my background.
Look at that!
But the Fleer sticker card.
Yep.
For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see it there. I want to say this is like 89 Fleer or something like that. But yeah, I used to do that too. That's always fun to do that. You can check it out on my YouTube page too, by the way.
95% of the time you're not getting much, but that one time
we opened it once and I got it was Fleer 80 whatever 7 Fleer 84 Fleer, I don't remember, but I got a Michael Jordan insert. It was like $125. That's a pretty good one to without for a $3 pack. It wasn't like I bought a $25 pack like the guys do nowadays, but
that's huge.
All right, looking forward to that. That's always fun. Let's talk some football. Gardner Minshew, Aidan O'Connell, who's the quarterback for the Raiders? They're sharing the work there. It's like my question to you is, does it really matter who the quarterback is? Are they different enough in what they want to do on the field? Because we always say, Gardner Minshew loves the tight end, and Gardner Minshew targets his number one wide receiver. Do we have like a clear-cut choice that we'd rather see here? Because O'Connell was efficient down the stretch last year for the Raiders.
So O'Connell definitely has a lower fantasy floor. We already know what Gardner Minshew is. He's established, at least from a PPR standpoint, we know he can get guys the ball. So that is a good thing. We have that locked in. If O'Connell's starting, we have a very low floor of, he's going to get figured out, and we're going to have multi-game stretches of these teams are honing in, kind of like we had with Zach Wilson last year, where we went into those games saying, we're going to need Garrett Wilson garbage time because these defenses have this locked in. So I believe in Gardner Minshew for fantasy. Again, Gardner Minshew has 9,000 passing yards in his career, almost at 10,000. He is turning into that Ryan Fitzpatrick-y type player where every year nobody will ever commit to him. Of course, Fitzpatrick had a few years there, but later career Ryan Fitzpatrick, he went 4 or 5 straight years of just hopping team to team to team and starting every year. So I do think eventually Minshew takes a handle of this offense, and then Devontae's going to be fine.
What about the situation in the backfield? And we know the quarterback is obviously with the Cowboys. It's Dak Prescott. We know they're going to have success through the air. Ezekiel Elliott's back in town. And while he's not sexy or anything, you look at this backfield and Malik Davis and Rico Dowdle and Royce Freeman, and it's like, it's not impossible to think Ezekiel Elliott can get 10 touchdowns this year. Talk to us about Elliott. And what do you think about the reports from the VP there, Stephen Jones, suggesting that Royce Freeman, who's been around forever, kind of like the quarterbacks we're talking about, is actually the number 2 guy because Ezekiel ain't the guy he used to be, and there's a lot of hits there, and you worry about his durability factor too.
Yeah, Zeke is like an old Trevor Rogers, I saw that, Ray. I was like, of all the pitchers, They could have had anybody.
That's people have said that they gave up a lot to get Trevor Rogers. You're totally right.
But Zeke, he is what he is at this point, but I would say his experience and ability to handle workload is what's valuable here at this point. We know he can catch the ball. We know he can run routes and run the ball for 3.6 yards per carry and probably stay healthy. And at a certain point, that is valuable. Now, I have a long-running bit about Royce Freeman because I liked him when he came into the league in, 2018.
Right.
Royce Freeman, not a difference maker, kind of a plotter, 4 or 5 yards, maybe on a good run, 2 or 3 on a bad run. Rico Dowdle, really the upside play there. But Zeke is what he is. He can probably get you 1,200 yards, do late career Frank Gore stuff. And that's the absolute ceiling. So that it is what it is, but yeah, we could get some yards. We could get some 12-pointers out of Zeke this year.
You can follow Russell Clay, who's joining me here on Fantasy Sports Daily on Twitter at Russell J. Clay. I was talking to Tyler Beaker yesterday, who we have on the show here every Thursday. And I'm going to swear here, folks. So cover your ears. I said, look, Lamar Jackson has the shits a lot. And I don't know if he doesn't want to practice. I don't know if it's diarrhea. I don't know if he's got some diagnosed thing we don't know anything about. What I do know is at the end of the day, he doesn't play the games. Like, that's the fact. You have to draft him in as an elite quarterback. When he's out there, he is producing like an elite quarterback. What are your thoughts, though, in a redraft league about Lamar Jackson? Like, because I don't like really drafting 2 quarterbacks. And, I almost feel like I have to with Lamar Jackson because I know he's going to miss games.
So Lamar is a very good quarterback. The question for me at this point, fantasy-wise, he, of course, gets the rushing yards. Mm-hmm. But I'm very happy with Lamar because he's a running quarterback, but he's become a lot smarter the last couple of years with how he runs. He gets out of bounds. He doesn't run straight into the line of scrimmage as much anymore, and he slides. They also don't use him as much near the goal line. I imagine that's even more emphasized in 2024 with Derrick Henry. So that is what we're looking at with Lamar at this point. I do think the rushing yards are going to be there, but the rushing touchdowns really haven't been there for years for him now, especially compared to guys like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, who are putting up ridiculous rushing production. So I like Lamar, but again, you mentioned he misses games. He potentially, because he is a running quarterback, even if he is sliding and doing everything, still puts himself in harm's way just because they're rushing attempts. So, there's a lot of risk there. I will say there's upside, and this is probably the best offense he's ever had with some of these weapons.
Let's stay at the quarterback position and talk about a younger version of Lamar Jackson who, I don't know, has 30 pounds on him too. Justin Fields can do things on the football field that few quarterbacks have ever been able to do. There's just no debating that. Now, there are things he's working on and all that kind of stuff. We're getting all these reports out of the Pittsburgh camp that he sucks, right? That there's all this stuff he's got to work on. He looks like a mess. Wow. There's the most recent thing, like he got hit late and his teammates went bonkers, and we're talking about it like they're protecting him. And so it seems like people like Justin Fields around the club, right? We know that Russell Wilson, the P word, phony, gets thrown out about him a lot. So I don't know how many people like him. He's certainly a better option to start the season for the Steelers at the quarterback spot. Certainly is. Is he starting all season long? Is Justin Fields somebody that, no one's talking about now? And here come week 9, Justin Fields going to start the rest of the way, and we got a league-winning guy even with his struggles. Where are we at? You're the dynasty guy too over at fantasyguru.com. Where are we at with Justin Fields? I see him make throws sometimes. I'm like, there are 2 guys in the NFL that can make that throw. And then you also see him running around for 15 minutes like he's Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty big whiff by many of us, myself included, on that evaluation. As you mentioned, he makes some plays. Even last year with Chicago, He played very well at times last year, and the threat of his rushing ability is very appealing. As a quarterback, though, clearly there's something that made the Bears give up on him, and then the Steelers not even feel comfortable having him as the sole guy. So there's clearly something going on, like you're mentioning. There's something there that we are not seeing, because I see an immense talent. Mm-hmm. However, I will say the embarrassment of having Arthur Smith running him as an option QB, or running him in tight end snaps, or doing something goofy with him in a Taysom Hill-like role, I could absolutely see something like that happening by mid-year if Wilson is holding on to that starting gig. So we could be relegated to the Taysom Hill, Justin Fields role at some point. And it may look awesome with Arthur Smith, but yeah, I'm accepting that reality at this point.
Russell Clay, Ray Flowers here on Fantasy Sports Daily. You mentioned Taysom Hill, and we have this discussion every year, I think. Taysom Hill is listed in some places as a tight end. He's not a tight end. As I say all the time when this comes up, if he's at a tight end, why is Deebo Samuel not a running back? Someone please answer that for me, because Deebo Samuel actually plays running back. We're hearing, again, Dennis Allen saying, Taysom Hill, baby. Yeah, let's go. Who is Taysom Hill? Do you draft Taysom Hill as a tight end? Because someone said to me the other day, well, he was 11th in my scoring system last year. And I'm like, yeah, but he had 7 games where he had like 4 points. Like, he's all over the map. Number one, how do you view Taysom Hill in the fantasy space? And number two, honestly, is getting him in and out and in and out, is that actually good for the Saints offense? Or do you think in the long run, just stick with Derek Carr?
We've often wondered, I've seen the conversation many times, platoon quarterback situations. We do see it in college all the time.
Right.
And it's never on a good offense, let me tell you. It's always on these like Fresno States where they have 3 walk-ons and the starter got hurt. And you're like, all right, well, they're going to switch halves. Let's see how this goes. So, yeah, it doesn't have a good feel to it for me. I do understand the red zone aspect of it. Feel like it undercuts your starting quarterback a little bit. And I don't know that it changes anything with Derek Carr, but I don't think it's a great thing for any NFL offense. But fantasy-wise, I would not draft Taysom Hill as a redraft, start, sit, lineup guy. Absolutely not. Maybe throw him in a later round best ball. Now, if we get to week 8, week 9, and you need a fill-in, hell yeah. Right. 1 touchdown away from hitting value there. Of course, has had those big runs, hyper athletic, and can certainly get you 20 points randomly. So I like him as a streamer, but yeah.
Russell, let's go back, circling back to the Cowboys team. We talked about the backfield earlier. I should have asked you about the pass catchers at the same time, because I'm interested, because we've got Ferguson at the tight end position. Everyone's like, all right, he's your tight end 1, you're fine. You got CeeDee Lamb, who top 3 pick, right? Everyone loves CeeDee Lamb. Who else there? Because Dak Prescott, everyone drafts Dak Prescott to throw for 4,400 yards and 29 touchdowns, right? Like, and they're hoping it's better than that. Besides Ferguson and Lamb, who are we looking at with the Cowboys and saying they might have some pass catching chops for us in 2024?
So we have Brandon Cooks, who's trying to do his best Tyler Lockett impression these last couple years. Yeah. Brandon Cook's very good, and he did fine, serviceable last year. Not really great for fantasy. There really isn't a guy right now. They did draft Jalen Tolbert in the 3rd round a few years ago. Sounds like he's coming on pretty strong. So that's an intriguing one. He did have a lot of nice talent. There were a lot of folks that were really high on him coming out of South Alabama. Of course, the first couple years have been a complete dud. So that's a nice late round shot. Don't have to pick him in a redraft league, but that's someone I'm watching. And the weird one, so Jake Ferguson emerged last year, even though the Cowboys drafted a tight end in the 2nd round, Luke Schoonmaker. Mm-hmm. So I'll be very curious if they run 2 tight end sets, maybe give Dak a little more stability. And if he does emerge as a solid pass catcher, that's another team that could go 2 tight end sets more.
Help me out with what the Jaguars are doing. They draft Brian Thomas. Everyone loves his skill set. They draft him. They signed Gabe Davis. Some redundancy there, I think. They seemingly are paying everyone on their team top 3 at their position money. I don't know how that works, but they're doing it. How is it going to play out? Christian Kirk's the one there in terms of pass catching, right? But talk to us about the rest of the guys at the wide receiver position with the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Because we got the youngster, we got the aging guy, we got the middle guy. What do we got going there for Trevor Lawrence to throw to?
So what happened with the Jaguars here is, in terms of archetype fits, they realized what they were doing didn't work. The Christian Kirk thing works. Mm-hmm. The Calvin Ridley deep target thing did not really work. Calvin Ridley was never really a deep target. And I think the Christian Kirk Ridley thing, Kirk's role takes a lot of what Ridley does well away with the route running. So they went and drafted 2 guys that fit what Lawrence succeeded with in college, which is tall, deep targets. Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas look a whole heck of a lot like T. Higgins and Justin Ross when he was back at Clemson. And I think the Zay Jones thing really worked when Zay Jones was healthy, and they saw that and identified that and said, okay, we need deep targets for Trevor that are bigger, contested catch guys, and guys who have speed that can get open, where we can take advantage of Trevor Lawrence's big arm and deep ball accuracy, which there's been nobody to take advantage of that other than maybe a Christian Kirk on a random deep target. So that's what happened there. In terms of fantasy, it's going to be real ugly week to week for those deep targets because it's going to be pretty random based on matchups. But Kirk locked in, Evan Ingram locked in, and ETN locked in. So should be a much better offense, though.
So it's exciting. It's great for the offense. You talk about the randomness of Gabe Davis, which we have seen on full display when he was obviously with the Bills. Brian Thomas is a youngster. They get drafted, right? Davis and Thomas get drafted, but to reiterate the point you were talking about there, it's like, do you get there? You're having fun. Are you playing around with the screen there, Russell?
I saw typical Rob throwing a little comment
you
there.
Throw it
What's
in there.
up?
Good morning.
What's up, Rob?
I look down and you're touching the keyboard. I'm like, what the hell is this going on? We're getting hacked. What's up, typical Rob? Davis and Thomas, just to reiterate, even when they have those big weeks, like in season, people need to remember this. These guys are very likely to be volatile on a weekly basis, right? So again, draft them and all that kind of stuff. Dynasty League's different for Thomas. Draft them and all that. But for a redraft scenario, it's just, you can't be drafting them in a position. They can't be your third wide receiver is what I'm trying to say. Because that just on a weekly basis is going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I imagine both end up around the 600 to 800 yard range with some big performances, but also some 0s and 5-pointers. So Jack, what's up, Jack?
Jack said, what up, Ray and
Good
Russell?
to see you.
We got some questions here. Stop clicking on the things that are nice and easy. Let's click on a couple of questions before we let you go, Russell. Chalk out the Furball says, hello, Russ. I'm in a Dynasty League, 2.1 in the rookie draft. Is that enough for Jerome Ford with the probability of seeing a lot before Chubb comes back? Would you give up a 211 in a rookie draft to get Jerome Ford?
That is right around. If you're a contender, I don't think by the 211, even in a super flex, you're getting a little thin for a guy who could be a starter. So that's right around where, if you're a contender, probably not, but I would wait till the 211 to make that deal. And if there is someone, a Marshawn Lloyd or something like that, you could think about it, but we want to win. Right. So I might hold Ford, right?
I get the sense that my answer to this is, and I'll ask you to respond to it, Russell, is that I get the sense that we at fantasyguru.com are lower on Chubb than the universe and higher on Ford than the universe. So I almost think that maybe the 311 pick gets it, or the 3-2 or whatever the hell it is. Like maybe your third round pick is enough to get Ford. I mean, 'cause I think some people look at him and they're like, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe offer something lower, start there, and then go from there. Maybe a third rounder does get him. 211, it's still a second rounder technically, even though it's getting up there. So yeah, I mean, unless you're on the clock right now, you have a little time to make that decision. But yeah, start a little lower and then move up from there.
Hell, you might even start with the 4. I don't know if you want to offend somebody, but some people think Jerome
Right.
Ford's going to start for 3 games. Like, I don't know. Just a thought. David P., who often asks questions of you, he must like it when you're here. I feel like we get it a lot, Russell.
David.
He asked, he's got a PPR league, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel. Woo. How would you two rank the guys, and what are your expectations for them? Have a good weekend. I mean, to me, all these guys, Deebo, DK, Adams, and Puka, are all top 20 wide receivers if we're really stretching it. I think most people probably have them as top 15 wide receivers. I think that Deebo is better than Brandon Ayuk. I think that DK Metcalf is a rock solid wide receiver 1. I think Devontae Adams is a rock star wide receiver 1. I think Puka is, for me, the 4th guy on this list because of the situation with Cooper Kupp and his health. And I expect him to come back and, get his 8, 9, 10 targets a week. So I think I'd go DK, Adams, Deebo, Puka. What about you, Russell?
Yeah.
They're very similar, right? They're very close.
I might put DK. So Puka is going way too high for me.
Yeah.
In ADP. So it sounds blasphemous to say he is in this tier, though. That is the tier I believe he fits in. I would have Metcalf leading that tier. Metcalf, Adams, Puka, Deebo. With the understanding Deebo can have 30, 40-point games.
Is he last because you're worried about his health?
Yeah, 100%. If I knew I was getting a full healthy Deebo season, he'd probably be number 1.
Yeah, he gets 10 touches a week when he's out there and healthy most of the time. It's significant, but he plays it. And I was talking about him yesterday with Tyler Beaker too. He might be my most favorite guy to watch. He's so exciting. And, he runs over linebackers. Like you just don't, and I said it yesterday, he plays football like he's, Derrick Henry. I love seeing it, but you run into guys a lot, you get hurt, right? He's Russell Clay. I'm Ray Flowers. You can find Russell at fantasyguru.com all the time. You can find his dynasty rankings at the site. You can find him in Discord every day. As you heard, he's going to be cracking open some boxes here later today. There it is. Some football cards. We have like 5 packs in there. How many are in that box?
5 packs, 46 cards.
Okay.
40 of them probably less than $1 of worth.
Maybe even 50 cents, right? Yeah. Hey, man. We're totally different. I don't know if technically if we're different generations, we might be. I think it's 20 years. When I was a kid, when I first started collecting cards, there were no inserts. Like the inserts were the stickers, like I showed you earlier, the stickers that people would say, oh, great, and then they'd fling it in the garbage can, all right, stick it on the wall. Then the inserts started coming along right as I was kind of getting out of the space. And the inserts would be, $25, $30. Like now the inserts can be worth literally millions of dollars, right? It's the one of one autographed jersey thing.
Yeah.
Do you collect cards yourself? And if you do, are you buying a box? Are you buying 1 pack for $40? Like how are you play it?
I've gotten into it casually. So I collected a ton as a kid, but what I realized is I would go to tag sales with my family. That was mother-son bonding as a kid. And I would just buy all these cards. Little did I know, Ray, I was just buying everyone's base cards and taking them off their hands.
Right.
So that's what I was doing. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with cards as a kid, and it's fun to rip some packs here and there. But yeah, nothing crazy, but it's fun to check it out.
The height of my card collecting was the height of the card collecting universe. Like all the boxes, the tops and score and all the stuff I bought when I was like 12 years old, that you can still buy brand new boxes for like $25. Like they're made so many copies of these things. It's like, so I kind of got in with a glut, unfortunately. If I had been collecting back in the day, I'd have a Mickey Mantle in my closet kind of thing, because I would have done that. But yeah, the cards in my time. The one last thing before I let you go, I made the decision to get the 85 Topps football set. I think it's the one with the black border, and it's at $300 or $400 now. It's I paid $20 for it. So fine. My brother decided to get the Flair set instead for basketball.
Yeah.
So he got the Jordan for $30, and I got the NFL set. I was not as smart as my brother. so my brother has the Jordan rookie in the safety deposit box and the whole thing. So he was the smart guy. His $30 turned into thousands. Mine turned into $300 or $400. But
hey, that's a good ROI. 10x is 10x, right?
Yeah, there you go. Let's look at it that
20x
way.
20x,
I love my brother, so it's okay. If I didn't love him, I'd be pissed off. But I rued the day that I made the choice to go. See, basketball is better than football. I knew it. No, I'm just kidding. But Russell, thanks for coming on today. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next Friday. Again, Russell J. Clay on Twitter X. You can find them all over the website. Any articles besides what you got here? Any articles dropping? Are you part of the betting guide that's coming out here, I think, today or tomorrow?
I am not.
Okay.
We are going to start training camp notes next week. So that's going to be a daily article with a few of us on staff. We're going to be doing the training camp blurbs and updating you all on the fantasy relevant information from NFL training camp. I updated the dynasty ratings. And the funny thing is we're going from a very quiet time where not much is happening to those rating updates are going to be pretty chunky. Unfortunately, the Justin Herbert train is unbelievable, Ray. I can't even get to week 1 with these guys.
Yeah, every day in Discord. Why is he ranked so high? And now he's hurt. Yeah.
And now he's hurt. So I am probably going to have to move him down if his redraft. Anyway, we're done with the analysis for today, but probably going to have to move him down if 2024 is not looking good. So dynasty stuff, hit the Discord, and we're here. It's that time of year. Also, we have a bunch of podcasts out on the site right now, of which I've done a few and of which I've listened to a few. So go check out those.
And by the way, for those people that didn't hear, there's plantar fasciitis, something like that with Justin Herbert. They're hoping he's be ready for week 1. Not a catastrophic injury, but it is something that really requires rest. And there's not a lot of time, as much as it's a month. So we'll see where he's at in 2024. Russell Clay, Ray Flowers, here every Friday. Russell, thanks for your time. I got a picture to show everybody before we let him go. But good luck with the pack rip and hope you get a $2 insert today.
Thanks, Ray.
You got it. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. I promised this yesterday before we head out here, and I didn't show it. I went to the Smash Room in San Francisco and had some fun. I posted a picture of me. Some of my significant others, she tossed me a little mug that I smashed with a crowbar. So that's on Twitter X at the Ray Flowers. But here's a shot of me getting ready to do some smashing here. As you can see, there it actually is. For those that can't see, we're in the rage room. I've got a sledgehammer, which is pretty heavy. Got my face shield on, my helmet. There's a fan there that's been smashed. I'm destroying a dustbuster of some kind that's sitting on top of a smashed microwave that right behind it, as you can see, there's a smashed keyboard. And for my significant other thought it was really appropriate for me to smash a keyboard because I'm always angry and I'm always on a keyboard. So I smashed the keyboard. So there's a picture of me kind of mid-stroke there. And then after we did the smashing, which was per my niece, my 16-year-old niece wanted to go and smash things. And boy, did she smash the crap out of things. She had a lot of fun. We went and did the paint room too. So we're in a black light paint room. We had paint guns. We had paint brushes. And here is a picture of me after I was mercilessly attacked by my lady friend and my niece. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. The rage room, the smash room up in San Francisco. And people have asked me, Ray, there have been many times where I was, when we went that day, I was kind of okay. So I had a good time. Again, I think my niece enjoyed it more because it's harder for a 16-year-old girl to really get that rage out. She got it out. She's actually requested it again for the holidays. So she wants to go back. Okay. But there's a picture of me all suited up. Yeah, I got some paint on me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Sorry, I forgot to put it out there yesterday when I said I would. Thanks for listening to the show today. We'll be back on Monday. Fantasy Sports Dailies Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. We do baseball Monday, Tuesday, complete baseball. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, half hour of baseball, half hour of football. Wednesdays, Armando Marsal. Thursdays, Tyler Beaker. And as we just saw, Fridays are with Russell Clay. So head over to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, get the football product, get any of the products. If you got a question, a concern, a comment, send it to support@fantasyguru.com, usually answered by Ted Schuster. He'll help you out. Become part of the mafia, the elite mafia over at fantasyguru.com. You will not be disappointed. I'm Ray Flowers for Russell Clay. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.